Hello, welcome back to Crashing Sounds. My name is Chris, and I am joined by the amazing Mallavora, hot off the release of their long-awaited debut album, What If Better Never Comes. Thank you so much for joining me today, guys. How are we doing?
Oh, thanks for having us. Yeah, we're excited to be here. We're good. Yeah, feeling good. Excited about the album.
Yeah.
Brilliant, awesome. Welcome to Crushing Sounds. Cool. Malavora's music, it goes back to sort of 2019, if I've got that right, that sort of era. So 7 years later, we are now at last arriving at the release of your debut album. So I guess the obvious first question is, what the hell took so long?
So funny.
That's valid.
It's completely valid question. I think, to be honest, um, with this album, we've only just landed on the sound that is us that we're really like 100% confident is in this music is what this band is all about, and it took us a long time to get there. Longer than most bands, you could probably say. But even in the pre-2019, there was a phase of even to get there, the name and even getting to the point in 2019 where we at that time thought we figured ourselves out, but we really had no idea really. And yeah, we obviously did a few EPs earlier in our career, and we what's funny is we actually started writing and recording this album about 2.5 years ago. Um, so yeah, it was the first session was December 2023, wasn't it? When we were actually tracking some of the songs, which is ages ago now. So yeah, even though it was a long time coming, the idea and the process did start quite a while ago as well.
Yeah, but so it's been a real labor of love over many years, this album. So after all that time, how does it feel to finally have it out?
Yeah, it's a relief, I'd say. Yeah, Larry said we started recording it in December of 23, but we started writing it even earlier, like mid 2023.
Yeah.
And so we've been thinking about this body of work and what we wanted to look like and sound like for a long, long time. And we only announced that we were doing it in November. So even to get up to the point where we were telling everyone that we were doing an album took ages, and to finally have it out in the world feels really good. Like it's not just our thing anymore. It's out there for everyone to enjoy, which was the point really. Like we want people to hear it. Like the process of writing it was a really very personal one and helped us process a lot of stuff that we were dealing with. Um, but also we're writing the music because we want people to hear it and love it and enjoy it, and we want it to help other people maybe get through difficult points in their lives. So yeah, now that it's actually out there, we just want to get it into as many ears as possible and hope it reaches the people who should hear it.
Fantastic. Cool. When you started Mallavora, or I guess as you've been developing your sound over the last few years, who have been some of the big bands that have been inspirations for you guys? Because I know some people they'll listen to your music, namely your more current music, and immediately think Spirit Box. But I think your earliest music came out around the same time as early Spirit Box, so maybe not them. So who were some of the bands that inspired you guys?
Yeah, it's a valid point actually that Spirit Box definitely are a big influence to us now, and I think just sonically, but also just like what they're doing. Like we saw them the main stage download last year, was it? And
What's it?
yeah, yeah, I think it's crazy. Sorry, this is I can feel a tangent coming, but it is crazy how like the first time they came to this country, they did an academy. Sorry, the first time they came to this country, they played download, but their first tour was an academy tour, and their second tour, if I'm right, is this year. It's an arena tour. Mental.
Yeah.
So inspirational for many reasons. But no, to answer the question, there's all sorts of bands really. System of a Down is a big one. Um, we enjoy the sort of craziness of it. We don't do the like sort of the like fun thing that they do. You know, some of it's like some of the system is pretty wacky and fun and silly. Like we don't have that element of it, but um, I think some of the riffs and the songwriting and the cultural influence and things like that is is similar. Yeah, there are whole loads of metal bands which are in the sort of identity of the music, like even bands like Opeth and Gojira and stuff like that. Just people who are really, really good at writing metal music that for me as a songwriter anyway, it has always inspired me to want to be able to create things that have an impact on people in a similar way.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like when in the early days of Mallavora, when I started screaming for the first time and was like exploring the cleans and the screams angle, I hadn't actually heard Spirit Box at that point, so
Yeah.
I didn't know of them. I think like what Spirit Box has done for me in the last 2 years is yeah, kind of like what Larry said, like show what's possible, show like how you can don't know, they're almost like redefining a culture in a way which is so incredible to see. But I can see why people like hear us and go Spirit Box. But I think sometimes it's like just it's largely just because of the like metalcore element with the clean and screaming female vocal thing that does it. Whereas interestingly, yeah, they weren't an early influence of ours because they hadn't been really around.
Exactly,
Uh,
yeah.
and System of a Down is another interesting one. Again, like when I joined the band, had not heard of them. Embarrassingly, I'd only really started listening to them in the last like couple of years. I didn't even know about them. Like, I didn't come from a metal background at all. Um, and it was more of the sort of thing where like Larry loved them for many
A long
years.
time.
So you could probably hear it in his songwriting, but then the stuff that I was bringing from my cultural background then just made people think like they must love System. And I was like, why do they keep saying this? I need to listen to this band. And like I listened to them and was like, fuck, I can't believe I've never heard this before. Like, yeah, this is incredible. And now it is, now I would say it definitely is an influence. Yeah, it's just funny how people make like associations with things. And um, obviously they're both incredible bands and we can definitely feel that we're like a bit of a blend of the two, really.
Yeah.
Fantastic, cool. So you mentioned how it feels like after many years, the band has been evolving up to this point, and of course, all those different bands you've mentioned there that are key parts of your sound. So if you were to have, if you did have to do an elevator pitch for the new album in terms of its sound, what it's about, how would you go about it?
So it's like probably we've kind of covered this a little bit really, but I guess it's like if System of a Down and Spirit Box had a sad child, um, or like a child with depression is kind of like how I'd describe it. Because yeah, there's the cultural element of System of a Down, which you can definitely hear in our stuff. There's the metalcore, clean scream, female vocal, modern production that you can hear in the Spirit Box stuff. But then there's like a sadness and a bleakness to the songwriting. Like there's an emotional backbone to the songwriting, which yeah, there's definitely bits of loathe in there for us, like kind of the way it makes you feel. It's supposed to give the listener like a bit of an aching feeling of grief. And yeah, that's definitely stuff that Loathe, something that Loathe does really well. And um, yeah, in terms of what it's about and what it's trying to do, it's a concept album, all about exploring what we like to call sicknesses through different lenses. So starting with our personal experience of chronic illness, and being kind of classified as sick, um, but then kind of flipping that on its head, looking at problems in society and actually kind of raising the challenge of like actually maybe we're all sick, and yeah, where are we going and is it anywhere good, and then ultimately what if better never comes.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, it's whenever I listen to it, I can't remember the last time I listened to an album that was this sort of it had such an air of raw emotion to it. I think probably the last album that comes to mind would be the last Svalbard album a few years ago. It's a very earnest album, which is incredible. We've mentioned a few times that you're quite socially driven, like when you're writing music. Why is that important for you guys to put into your music?
Yeah, building like a community is really, really important to us, and yeah, finding like people who connect with what we're doing and making them feel like they belong for the first time is like it's been really special to witness happening over the last few years. And it kind of started a little bit by accident. Like it wasn't an intentional thing. It was like I started writing about being disabled for the first time in 2023, early 2023. We released a track called Disorder, and then that like reached thousands of disabled people on TikTok who were like, "Oh my God, I've never felt like this before. I've never seen this before in music." And suddenly we were like bringing in people who maybe hadn't felt like they had a place in metal, but certainly in metal, but wider than that, maybe in like live music generally, and like people who usually don't feel like they can go to gigs and stuff. And so it sort of became like a community building thing, which is really special. And yeah, but I think like we ultimately still just write from our experience and our feelings, and it's amazing to feel like that does connect with people and resonate with people. But we feel it as artists, it's really important that we use our songwriting in an authentic way that's not in a way that's like, you know, just overtly like political for no reason kind of thing, just because we want to make a point. It's more just it's stuff that we genuinely really care about or like go through ourselves or have experience with people around us. Um, and yeah, so it's super special that we're like building such a such a nice community from it, really. It's a great bunch of people.
Yeah, I'll bet. So if you were to pick one song that sort of encapsulates the album as a whole, which one would you pick?
It's got to be the title track, I think, of What Then Ever Comes. So that was the first song that we wrote on the album,
Oh, no
interestingly.
way.
We started at the end. Um, and yeah, so we were writing originally, we were just writing because, we're songwriters, we write songs. And then we wrote, I remember I put together the instrumental and sort of realized that I was building this kind of prog epic that was, approaching 9 minutes, had no repeats. And I was just like, well, this is what's coming out. So, let's run with it. I tend not to try and curate anything. Whatever comes out comes out. There's intention behind the emotions in there and stuff, but in terms of the arrangement and stuff, it's like whatever feels right. If it's not, if when I finished it, it doesn't fit somewhere, then park it for a bit, kind of thing. So we ended up with this like prog epic, and then Jess did the vocals, did a demo of the vocals, and then sang the line at the end, "What if Ben ever comes?" And we listened back to it for the first time, and it was like a really special moment. We really felt like we had stumbled across something, and then we had this whole conversation about sickness and all the whole concept kind of was born out of that. And then we took it upon ourselves to write the what is it 12 tracks that lead up to that to tell the story and give the context to all of the ideas within that one song.
Incredible. I mean, I love a closing song on an album to feel like a closing song, if you know what I mean, and that more than achieves that. So when did you discover that this has to be the end of the album? We can't just put this at the beginning or middle. It has to be at the end.
um that's a good question. I can't remember think like the first time I thought that, but I've definitely felt for a long time as we were putting it together like this got to be the closer because yeah, like I say, it, to me it makes sense to have all the pieces of the story build up and then to have the big epic 9 minute thing that says it all in one go at the end. So yeah,
Yeah, but it's interesting because we weren't at that stage when we wrote What If Better Never Comes, and shortly afterwards, we weren't writing for an album. Even at
not
that
specifically.
stage, we were just writing a collection of songs, basically, and weren't really thinking about what that was going to end up like.
Yeah,
We just knew that we had this like concept and this theme for the songwriting that we wanted to explore. Um, and I think it was probably quite late on that we sort of said like out loud when we were talking about where all the songs sit in an order and things like that. It was just, I don't know. I think it was kind of like a subconscious thing between all four of us that we were like, yeah, this is the culmination of all of this. This is where it ends. And this is where you find out what it's been about this whole time.
Also, though, as you guys have mentioned, a lot of your songs are focus on sort of people with disabilities and that kind of thing. But that also extends to you guys are huge advocates for accessible venues when you go out on tour, go perform and whatnot. It's clearly it means a great deal to you guys. So, what sort of things? This could be a huge question, but what sort of things do venues need to be doing to be more accessible? Are things getting better these days, or do they still have a ways to go?
Great question. Things are definitely getting better, but there is a long way to go still. I think things are getting better in terms of the awareness of stuff, but um, I think the industry still has quite a way to go to kind of make sure that disabled people actually belong and can experience live music just like everyone else. I think a big challenge that we face is, at the grassroots stage, when you're still a small band, like we consider definitely consider ourselves to be a small band still, and we, are playing these grassroots venues which are small and don't tend to have been like built with accessibility in mind. Like they're often historic buildings, like in basements or up attics or behind a bar or whatever. And that's like great because it's where emerging artists go to play their first gigs, and it's where like the scene starts and where you break out and everything. But for disabled people, like that, these places can pose big problems. Like they can't get in a lot of the time. The things like seating haven't been thought about. Things and it goes way beyond just, wheelchair access as well. But that is definitely a huge glaring barrier where like wheelchair users can't get into most of the grassroots venues in this country. So they can't like go in to enjoy grassroots music, and then also they can't start their own bands and be artists themselves either because they can't like play the venues. So that is like a big thing that we we wanted to make some noise about because yeah, we just feel like it's locking disabled people out of the industry, and it's harming the industry. Like 1 in 5 people are disabled, and if so many disabled people like can't go in, buy tickets, or don't know the access situation because the venue like hasn't really spoken about the access situation, then like the industry's missing out on ticket sales and all of these things. So it kind of makes business sense as well. But for our shows, like we can only really control the venues that we play when we headline. And so when we headline our own shows, we commit to only playing wheelchair accessible venues, and then it's kind of like sprung from there into so many different things. Like we don't use strobe lighting our shows. We provide like lyric sheets. So like, because we can't afford at the moment to have BSL interpreters or like live captioning at our shows for deaf and hard of hearing people. But lyric sheets is like something on the DIY kind of end of the spectrum where people can like scan a QR code and follow along with the lyrics during the show. Like we've had some really good feedback about that. A lot of the stuff that we do is like free or very, very low cost to us, but it makes quite a big difference to people. So it's kind of like about trying to show the industry, make some noise about it, and also kind of show the industry that like even if there are like clearly physical accessibility issues with a particular venue, doesn't mean you should give up on making it more accessible altogether.
Yeah, incredible. I remember when I read that, obviously the strobe lighting thing, totally get that. Totally valid. Good call there. And also when we're reading you give out lyric sheets. I remember thinking, that's genius. I've never thought of that. But yeah, the amount of metal bands I go to where I think having lyric sheets would be very useful, but for various different reasons.
Yeah, yeah, completely. Like that's the other thing as well is like people say to us, "Oh, like I would never have thought of that. Because I don't consider myself to be a disabled person or whatever, but actually this was like really this made my experience a lot better. And I didn't realize that. And that's like a really nice thing about making things more accessible is that everyone benefits from it.
How do you handle this? That just came into my head now, but if you're think about all these things that would make the show more enjoyable for disabled people, no matter what. How do you handle mosh pits?
Mm. We have mosh pits, but yeah, absolutely, and we encourage mosh pits for sure. But I think it's just like it's about creating an atmosphere where everyone feels like they can show up as themselves. Like some people want to mosh, and that's great. We absolutely love that. Some people don't want to be touched or want to just stand out the way or want to sit down, and that's fine as well. It's kind of like about um, just creating an environment where people feel like they don't have to put on a mask. They can let go in whatever way works for them. And for a lot of people, like that is moshing, and that can be a really great experience for like neurodivergent people and also disabled people as well to mosh and to get that like release can be really good. But obviously recognizing that it's not for everyone. We have had wheelchair pits as well, which is so sick. It's wicked. Um, yeah, just that's like super cool actually. I want to try and like I was looking up the other day what the world record for the number of like
Mm,
wheelchair users in a mosh pit
what is it?
is. There hasn't been
We need to do
a
it.
world record, so I'm like thinking at our album release show, we're gonna try and make the world record for the number of
Yeah,
wheelchair users in a mosh pit, man.
yeah,
Because yeah,
yeah. We had. I remember at Trees last year, we had somebody in a powered wheelchair doing a circle pit.
yeah,
Um,
it's so good.
yeah, yeah.
So
And that's
good.
the thing is, obviously in like because that was main stage Trees, big outdoor space. You can get a pretty wide circle,
Yeah.
and you can get some speed up.
Yeah, yeah. I think like in the small sweaty venues, it is just trying to be mindful of things, but we just find that our crowd is very, very respectful and
Yeah,
like always making sure. I mean, metal is a pretty respectful like space anyway. Like people will pick each other up if they fall down, and everyone's quite mindful of the people around them and stuff. So
yeah.
we find that it works. Like a mix of different people together does work.
It does. And I mean, before I became ill, I was a a lifelong mosher and circle pit participant, and the yeah, it's. I mean, anyone who does it knows that like you will see like a massive 6'7" bloke and so I don't know, like a girl who's like 15 or something, and everyone like you don't get hurt. Sometimes you get an elbow or something, but you'll be all right. But people in mosh pits know how to sort of temper their velocity, if you will. So people know what they're doing. These people do it every weekend. They know how to do it safely.
Yeah, fantastic. So I have to ask, what was it like playing Download?
Oh,
Yeah, it was super cool. It was a big life moment for all of us. Certainly for me personally, like I've been to download every year since 2012, I think. Um, and obviously always on the fan side, but just always, being a musician and starting a band and stuff. Always had an eye on the stage, thinking, how do you actually get there, and like, how do you do it? So to even just like driving through the entrance at Download for the first time was like, yeah, this is pretty cool. And yeah, it's just a real bucket list moment to be able to play. Speaking about Spirit Box earlier, the first time I saw Spirit Box was on the Avalanche stage at Download, their first ever UK performance, and then we played the Avalanche stage 2 years later, which is, I mean, stuff like that's really cool.
What did that experience do for you guys in terms of the trajectory of the band, if indeed it did have an effect?
um, it's hard to say whether it had an effect really. Um, but I think it was more like uh you kind of have to show the industry that you're serious a little bit. And when you do get an opportunity like that, you like can show with being professional and like all the preparation and the show that you put on and stuff that you can do the big stages. And like it probably wasn't a coincidence that the next year we got booked for the main stage
Stage
at
trees.
2000 Trees. So it's kind of like, yeah, maybe that did have an influence on that booking, maybe we'll never find out, but I think it's like about the industry being able to see you on big stages and be like, yeah, we can put them on, we can book them.
Plus the awareness thing, I think even just like being on the download poster, being on the back of
Mm,
everyone's t-shirt. I mean, I see it. all sorts of places, airports or whatever, you see people. It's like, oh, that's my band name on the t-shirt, and they might not know it because there's hundreds of bands on there,
Yeah.
but it's just particularly because Malabora isn't a word.
Yeah.
Um, it helps get that word into people's brains a little bit, and
Yeah.
I think when we were brand new, people would like say it wrong all the time,
Like not know how
and
to
it's like,
say it.
even though it's like a really easy like phonetical like spelling, but now we sort of don't get that as much, and I think that's just generally because there's sort of names out there a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Brilliant, cool. So, before we wrap up, we got to do the advertising bit. You guys are gearing up for your album release show
Oh yeah,
on May the 8th at the Exchange. That's going to be awesome. I bet you're pumped for that one.
Yeah, it's
very.
our biggest headline show ever, and we've given ourselves the challenge of performing this album in full, like start to finish, interludes and everything,
Every
which
note.
every note, which is going to be it's tricky, but it's hard to play musically, definitely.
Absolutely.
But like the rehearsals have been going really well, and we're so excited. We've been working really hard on like making a production like that we've never done before and stuff. So yeah, really, really looking forward to it now.
Brilliant. Who have you got supporting you guys?
We've got two amazing support bands. We've got Parve and we've got Die, who are Bristol based. Yeah, both incredible bands, so people should definitely check them out.
Okay, sweet. Because you guys obviously you call yourselves a small band, but for a lot of us in the Bristol Underground, you're kind of one of the big success stories right now. So we're all very, very excited to go to that album release show. It's going to be absolutely killer. And for everyone watching, as always, please check out those links down below so you can check out Malavora's incredible new album and get tickets for any upcoming shows. But beyond the album release show, what does the rest of the year have in store for you guys?
Yeah, so we've got a couple of very exciting shows that have been booked in that we will be announcing soon. When does this go out?
Uh, Probably some, maybe it's towards the end of this week, maybe beginning of next week.
Cool, because we're announcing something tomorrow. So
Okay,
Yeah.
that works. Go for it.
we're coming back to Download Festival this year.
Oh fuck! Really?
Yeah, so we're playing the Courtyard stage, the RIP stage on the Thursday, 11th of June. So that's we're very excited for that. To be invited back into the download ecosystem is something that we're very pleased about.
Yeah.
Um,
How,
so
how hard was it to not mention that when I asked about downloads literally 2 seconds ago?
I know, I know.
yeah,
I was thinking about
it
it,
only just
but
occurred to me that yeah, we're announcing tomorrow, so it's I
yeah.
probably should have worked it in, but I can't. And yeah, there's something else very cool happening, which we definitely can't say yet.
No.
Um, but that's also going to be very cool. And then yeah, we are working on some shows towards the end of the year, all around the UK, because we want to bring our album to as many people as possible. And when it's album year, we don't want to miss the opportunity to tour it and perform these songs for people in person.
Yeah.
Fantastic. But so basically, watch this space is what we're saying.
Yeah.
That's what the thing bands say. Final question for you guys: what is your favorite Malabora song?
Ah, um, oh, they're all my babies.
You
How can
can
I pick my favorite child?
you can have different favorites for different reasons, and on different days as well.
Yeah. What's your favorite right now? Yeah, mine does
What's
change.
your favorite today?
My favorite right now is probably Empty. I don't think I've said that before
Mm.
actually, but yeah, I'm in an empty phase at the moment. I've been really enjoying rehearsing it. It's really quite challenging vocally.
It was
Um,
the last one we wrote.
it was the last song we wrote on the album, that's true. Yeah, so it's the most like it's the latest song that we've actually written, which is
Yeah, the
cool
most complex.
and the most complex, and it's pretty hard to perform. But I'm really enjoying all the different elements of it. So yeah, that's probably my favorite at the moment. What about you?
At the moment, maybe Waste. It's a really fun song to play live. I really like the riff when I came across that riff and wrote it, like sort of was demoing that riff. I was really happy with it, and the groove that we've put together and stuff. And every time we play it live, we're just like, yeah, it's really satisfying. So probably that at the moment.
Yeah, fantastic. Cool. So that's all I've got. Thank you guys so much for joining me this morning. It's been absolutely great.
Oh, thank you for having us. Yeah, it's been really fun to chat.
Yeah, anytime. Congrats on download again. So,
Thank you.
Thanks.
absolutely
Uh,
brilliant.
yeah, it's great. It's great, like, because obviously last time we were there because we won a competition, whereas this time, like, we've been booked in our,
Been invited.
we've been invited, which like feels like okay, we're not just seen as like the band that won the deal kind of thing, like, so that's
Yeah.
good.
Fantastic. Also, I'll reiterate for everyone watching, please check out those links down below to support Mallavora musically, live, everything that they do. Thank you guys for joining me. Thank you all for watching. Go listen to some amazing heavy metal, and I'll see you in the next
Thanks.
video.